Welcome back, Illumineers. We are heading into round four of our Win-A-Box Core Constructed tournament that was held at Atlas Games in Ankeny, Iowa, hosted with the Iowa group of Illumineers called Lorcana Cabana, and we've got Eric and Matt. And getting right into it, Matt on the play, getting that turn one Basil down that we see so often from a Blurple deck.
Yep, it looks like he's got the sail in hand for the turn 2 ramp there as well. But we do get to see the underdog mechanic come out for Eric.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I have played against this Ruby Amethyst deck quite a bit recently, and it is very powerful. I think it is a deck that, maybe wasn't on everybody's radar at the beginning of the Winterspell format and is still probably not played very much, but it is a really solid deck.
Yeah, and one of the cards that I feel like kind of gets underestimated quite a bit is this 2-drop Scrooge that I suspect we'll see come down.
Yeah,
A few boosts, and that card starts to become very, very difficult to take out.
it is. And so we get this free quest off of Christopher Robin. Basil could at most put 2 damage on it, but Matt will be going into a 4-drop here. Gets that genie wish fulfilled down. So this will make it now a little bit more challenging for Eric in terms of how many quests can he get before his characters are automatically removed.
Yeah, I mean, notably though, if Eric goes ahead and boosts the Scrooge here, he can kind of just quest because right now the genie really can't take it out. Though I guess the risk of an Elsa is still definitely there.
And unless Matt draws it off the top here, it does not look like he's got an Elsa in hand. He's got 3 Hades looking for a deals. Which I suspect we will see here. We do see the genie take out the Christopher Robin. But I think if you're Eric, you're okay with that. You're up at 5 lore now. This Scrooge will, one of them can very cleanly take out Basil. And you got 2 quests off of your Christopher Robin.
Yeah, and with one boost on the unboosted Scrooge, I mean that 4 power is enough to take out any of the remaining characters.
Yeah, and this is really a good turn because you see Eric just boosting these Scrooges up a lot.
Yeah, I mean the original one is now sitting at a 5/5, which really can't be taken out by these characters.
No, this Hades looking for a deal can run into the Scrooge that has been boosted once, but it will also die because now the Scrooge has the extra. It'll be banished, rather. We don't die. Characters don't die in Lorcana, but it will go away because of the extra strength on the Scrooge.
Yeah, and I mean, notably, Eric not really having to invest a whole lot of cards here, and really not even like a whole lot of ink resources either. I mean, both of these Scrooges is just a two cost character, so if they come down and they trade with any of these bigger, more expensive bodies on Matt's side, I think that's a trade that you're pretty happy to make on Eric's side.
Absolutely. And we see that Eric's going to go to 5 ink here. He has 2 Headless Horsemen's in hand, which will be a really solid answer to remove this genie.
It looks like we do see the Hades challenge into the Scrooge there.
And again, this Scrooge can quest with no fear of this Hades taking it out. Of course, we could see the other Hades, but then if you're Eric, you're like, well, that's 3 additional ink for me.
Yeah, and notably, I don't think Eric is on this Tigger, but I have seen some decks, some of these purple red decks, utilizing Tigger as a way to pick up your own Scrooge to then be able to draw essentially the cards that are underneath him from the boosting.
Yeah, that's a really strong way that this Ruby Amethyst deck can just pick up a lot of cards at one time. And so we do see the cat in hand for Matt, which is a little bit problematic. It can remove damage off of this Elsa, and then the Hades could trade in.
It definitely can, but I mean, it is still worth noting though that the Scrooge is an additional power and willpower, so that 2 damage still won't be enough to
It won't
take
be
it out.
enough. Yeah.
We've got that Scrooge up to a 5/5 now. It looks like. I don't think we've boosted the third time yet.
No, it looks like we can though. We have an additional ink to spend.
Yeah, I don't think we saw what card was drawn for turn. Looks like we do Inca Demona there and boost. Presumably still a Demona, a Headless Horseman, and a mystery card so far. It looks like an Iago.
An Iago.
And yeah, I mean, like I had mentioned with Eric not running the Tigger, and he's kind of running more of this traditional evasive package with Dumbo, Iago, Genie, and Elsa. And so his 4-drop slots really are that Dumbo, Iago, and Genie. And in watching some of this deck play through, I mean, you can really see where that Iago is kind of a menace when people start taking out some of their cards that are able to answer the illusions a little bit more efficiently.
Absolutely. Eric is also looking at his list on 4 copies of Junior Woodchuck Guidebook, so saying that, I don't really need to pick up this Scrooge to draw the cards because I'll do it anyway through my item and through Demona, Dumbo.
Yeah, and speaking of drawing cards, I mean, these Hades on Matt's side have drawn so many cards. I think he's played 3 of them. All 3 of them have drawn 2 cards.
Matt chooses not to move any damage here. We know that, of course, Eric is on his own Cheshire Cats.
And you gotta kind of wonder, do we see this Demona come down this turn? I could see us maybe playing one more turn ahead, maybe take out the Elsa with the Horseman. Yep, we do see that play come through. I don't believe we saw the card that was drawn for this turn, though.
Well, we know we have a Demona and an Iago still in hand. Now the Scrooge is
Looks like a Cheshire Cat is maybe what Eric drew.
That is a good draw. The Scrooge McDuck is a 7/7.
And it may be about to be 5 ink with the Hades that Matt has in his hand.
Yeah, it looks like Matt has been trying hard not to play that Hades. I think it's been in hand for a couple turns on this Scrooge, but at a certain point,
I mean, especially in this Blurple deck, you really don't have a good way to get rid of this Scrooge once it kind of reaches a certain power or willpower and strength. That, I mean, it's going to have to probably get into the unknown, Let It Go, or Hades at some point.
yeah, I would imagine so, and that is painful. Maybe probably why Eric is holding off on the Demona, so that if he does get this inked, he will be able to more or less play out his hand.
Does play the Hades, but does go for the Genie there. Just letting this Scrooge continue to grow. The Palace Guard could be a good option to be able to send a cheaper character that you're kind of okay throwing away into this Scrooge.
Yeah, we're gonna have to draw a lot of cards to to make that happen.
That
These
is true,
Hades
but
are
we
gonna
do have
to team up with it.
2 Genies in Matt's hand right now, so we do have 3 cards for card draw potential on the next turn.
And we see Eric play Demona now. I have to think this Scrooge is going right after the cat, right?
Um, Very possibly. I could also see the horseman just take out the cat, and then Scrooge take out
And
the
then
big
this takes out
Hades.
the big Hades. Yeah, that would be another play.
The Demona could have also just been to give Eric a way to restock his hand a little bit, but we do see it go through to the cat. Notably, now the horseman, I believe, is at a 5 strength, but we just see it quest. And one
Yeah,
thing
I
to
think
kind of
that's a
keep in
pretty.
mind. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that is a good quest from Eric because typically this Ruby Amethyst deck maybe struggles a little bit in the Blurple matchup. So I think every lore that you can get here is really
Yeah.
relevant. And if Matt has no way to deal with this Demona or with the Christopher Robin, that will be taking Eric up to 17 very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate thing here is that the Palace Guard can just challenge into the Horseman and take it out, whereas the Horseman could have taken out the Palace Guard and then maybe taken something else out on its way out as it gets challenged. But it is also worth noting that Horseman, every time a character on Matt's side is banished, that Horseman will trigger, and so those will stack up to kind of cascade into some very large challenges from on Eric's side.
Yeah, kind of one of the under. Oh, wow.
Yep, and we see a Hades and a Palace Guard taking it out for 5.
I was going to say that is one of the underappreciated things about the Headless Horseman is that each time it gets that additional strength when a character is when you banish a character with
Yeah.
one of yours.
It can really let those early, uh, typically not very strong characters like Christopher Robin or some of these other things challenge in very, very effectively.
That was a really strong turn for Matt. I mean, we saw what was a pretty menacing board on Eric's side.
Yeah, it was taken out
It cleared
pretty
up pretty quick.
pretty quickly. I mean, once the Hades start to kind of come, or these large Hades start to come down, they really can kind of start to take away a lot of the tempo and a lot of the momentum that the opposing side has. I mean, especially now with this cat, we see the Hades come down and take out one of the larger Hades, but we don't really have enough yet to take out this 7 cost Hades, which does mean that Matt will have the ability to likely activate his Cheshire Cat on the following turn.
So we get another quest here with the Christopher Robin. Eric up to 15 lore now. And we do see a Demona in Matt's hand.
And we see a genie come down. I guess I don't know what Matt drew off of that genie draw, but I suspect we'll see the other genie follow. So now we should have Demona and 2 other cards in our hand. We ink a Tipo. Yep.
Matt debating a quest here. He is only at 4 lore, so probably
Yeah,
feeling a little bit of pressure, but I think you're still in a pretty good position, a very commanding board.
yeah, he does shift 2 damage over to that Cheshire Cat, but I mean, kind of unfortunately, the cat will be able to just send it right back over. So Eric will kind of get the ability to decide where he wants to send some of this damage, and so he could very well, if Matt did quest with his Hades, shift the damage right back onto the Hades and then take it out with the 5 cost.
Eric has a 3-drop Sisu Emboldened Warrior and now a Scrooge and a Dumbo in hand. Unfortunately, this Dumbo could come down, and there's no other evasive in play
No,
to be
not
able
not
to
on
draw
Eric's
any
side at
cards.
least, but it might be able to
Yeah.
hold off some of these genies from questing, which could still be pretty viable. And it looks like we do see another Cheshire Cat and a Demona in Matt's hand there. And two Cheshires being on your side of the board does kind of mean that you win the cat race, and that could be a very advantageous spot to be in if you are able to shift more damage across the board than your opponent. We see Eric just flood the board a little bit, puts down 4 lore worth of characters, and quests up to 17. So he is threatening the ability to end the game on this next turn. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where that takes him.
Not sure what Matt drew here off the top. We know he has a Demona in hand, which I believe the Demona would allow him to clear most of this board. Not quite all of it.
Yep, it definitely would, but I think even the second cat puts us in a position of being able to take out most things, or at least take out enough. You could leave just the Scrooge and just the Dumbo. Opting for the Hades there. I suspect at this point any Hades coming down is probably just going to draw cards, but I believe that is our fourth Hades schemer from Matt's side.
Yeah, he at one point had no Elsa in hand, but had 3 of those Hades at one time.
And I suspect we'll end up seeing a double boost come out of the cat here. Oh, we had drawn another cat.
We take out this Sisu.
And I suspect we'll see a challenge
That
into this Hades, although the Hades that Matt is currently holding did just
came
enter
into
this
play.
turn. Oh, and it was caught.
So it'll have to
Perfect.
be the other. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think at this point, yeah, Matt's saying it's safe to quest with these 2 genies. I've got the cat board.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, any kind of real pressure here, and Matt's going to have to play this Demona. Um, the Elsa in hand actually on Matt's side may give him an out that he doesn't have to play the Demona, but Eric likely going to 19 on this turn and being in a position where Matt's going to have to make sure that nothing survives one turn on Eric's side.
So we saw Eric spend his ink and use Dumbo's ability to draw a card and gain a lore.
Yep. Notably here, I believe Matt does have 9 lore on his side, so if he's able to hold off for a single turn here, he very well could be in a position to hold it off for one turn and then be able to quest for the game the next turn.
Yeah. And it looks like, I mean, the Elsa would be.
I think the Elsa is enough here because the Scrooge challenged into the cat as opposed to questing.
Yeah, I think the Elsa can answer this Christopher Robin, or at least help answer it. And then, of course, you have enough damage to move and take out the Tinkerbell.
I suspect we see the Cheshire boost shift damage from one of Matt's characters onto the Scrooge, Elsa coming down, exerting the Christopher Robin, and then just having the 3-cost Hades or the Cheshire Cat go into it, which should put Eric at only be able to get to 19 on his next turn, and these purple red decks really aren't typically running any way to gain a burst amount of lore.
So we do see the Hades, the Elsa come down, exert the Christopher Robin. The Hades take it out.
Yep.
We will take out the Scrooge.
And then a quest for 3 here puts Matt at 11. With 9 on board to then retaliate. So Matt in a position now where now Eric has to be the one to answer this board.
And that is not going to be an easy feat with just one Tinkerbell out there. Matt is threatening lethal.
Yep. Eric not seeing a way out there, and like I mentioned, I mean, not having any way to kind of like a Cobra or I mean a goat of the past to really just kind of help close out some of those last bits of lore when you're up against kind of some of these longer, more late game purple decks.
Yeah. How we well, I don't know if everybody does. I certainly miss the bounce package that we saw prior to the rotation with the goat, fox, rabbit, and snake combinations.
It's definitely a lot of fun. I've been having a little bit of fun with it and practicing for some of the Infinity games to practice up for the Indianapolis DLC coming up.
I'll be curious at that Infinity DLC how well purple is represented. We know we casted our Infinity Winnabox here, and not a single purple card was played that day. So we'll be curious to see what kind of representation it gets in Indianapolis.
Yeah, I suspect we'll start to see results and some data coming through from different Infinity events, and I know I'll certainly be trying to pay attention to what some of the different decks people are running are and what people are kind of cooking up. So far, I would say I really haven't even through some of the matches and playtesting that I've done seen that many purple decks really be piloted.
Maybe that means it's the way to go.
Maybe it does. I will say that the Demona is a very, very good way to answer some of these troublesome ward characters like Prince John and Muses. So I do think that there is value in being able to run some of those things.
All right, so we go into game 2 here. Eric will be on the play. And we see that Palace Guard go out.
Yeah, and this is one of those early cards that I was kind of mentioning earlier where if Eric is able to get a good Headless Horseman turn off where he can kind of chain a couple good trades into, this Palace Guard could start to attack for as a 3-4 or even a 4-4, really allowing it to kind of trade up and get quite a bit of value.
Not to mention the Palace Guard has the ability to gain quite a bit of lore because Blurple traditionally is not going to be able to deal with this for a couple of turns.
Yeah. Yeah, and looking at Matt's hand is a little bit slower than he would likely want it to be. His only 4 drops really being these Dumbos.
Looks like he did find a Demona though, and something about some of these purple matchups that you come to find now is it used to be so focused on the evasive wars, and that is certainly part of it still, but now it's kind of like who has the Demona and the cat. Those are the wars that go back and forth.
They definitely do, but I mean, notably, the bodies on Eric's side of the field really are going to be pretty beefy still. Matt not really having a whole lot of characters that can challenge very effectively into it, we will likely see that Elsa come down the turn prior, likely getting supported by the Basil to crash into one of these things. But, I mean, if we see that Scrooge start to boost, it's going to start to be a kind of a threat. Okay. We do see that Demona getting inked in favor of getting this Tigger out on the field. And that Tigger probably a very, very good 4-drop for Matt to be able to find himself into. Just really kind of swinging that tempo back into his favor.
Yeah, we take the Scrooge off the field, and then we also have the ability to, crack into this Palace Guard or this Sisu. Eric's saying, well, if you want to challenge the Sisu, at least your Tigger will be banished as well.
Yeah, I mean, that Sisu may look like she's got 1 power, but she does get an additional strength for every card in Matt's hand, and so right now she's actually pretty big.
Yeah, she was one of the staple cards in the Ruby Amethyst builds of old prior to the rotation. I think about this a lot. One of the cards that I so wish could be in this version of Ruby Amethyst is the 2-cost Flynn Rider that we saw played pretty heavily. I just feel like that Flynn Rider would have loved this deck.
I think that is true. I liked that card a lot. I thought it was a really interesting design. And we do see the Elsa come down, get the Scrooge right in time before it was going to be too large for the Elsa to really be able to manage. But we do have the Headless Horseman over on Eric's side to be able to answer this Elsa back.
Matt probably happy to see, though, that the boosted card underneath the Scrooge was an Iago.
Yeah, and Eric kind of in a tough spot here. He ended up having to ink his 5-cost Hades to be able to get this Headless Horseman out. He does still have the Woodchuck Guide to be able to draw those cards back, but I suspect he would have loved to be able to keep that Hades in hand. Interestingly here, I wonder what we'll see Matt kind of go for. I'm thinking we're at the point where we could get the Dumbo and the Woodchuck Guide down. Inking our Let It Go. Oh, we drew a Hades for turn, so we can keep the Let It Go and...
Yeah, this Ruby Amethyst, no way to banish items on your opponent's side, so it is safe to play the Junior Woodchuck Guidebook and not necessarily trigger it right away. Save it for when you need it.
I suppose, notably, Tigger could bounce an item, but as we had mentioned, Eric's list not running the Tigger. But
that is true. Unfortunately, there's no way to bounce your guidebook to play it again.
Not to any effect, at least. But Matt currently just with a Let It Go in his hand, but does have the ability to restock a little bit with that Woodchuck Guide.
Also can safely get a card and a lore off with his Dumbo. There's no evasives on Eric's side at the moment.
And Matt able to restock quite a bit of cards there. Popped 1 guidebook into being able to play another guidebook. Has the ability to Dumbo, like you had mentioned. And at the end of this turn, I suspect we're going to see quite a few cards in Matt's hand.
We ink the Tipo.
With 2 ink, are we about to see another guidebook come down?
That's the only thing I can think of that we're going to exert.
It could. I mean, it could be a Sail or a Tipo.
That's true.
But another guidebook would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
Okay, we see a Sail. Still quite good.
We can ink this other card, another Tigger. And I believe Matt should be at 2 lore
And
right
we
now.
actually did have the other guidebook, so um, yeah.
Eric has a pretty wide board at this point, laying down the Sisu and the Lumiere. Lumiere actually in my point of view, a very underrated card. It is quite strong, just giving everything on your side an additional strength rather, making the Scrooge, which is already a 5/5, now a 6/5.
Yeah, and we do have a couple lines here on Matt's side, but they are a little bit slow. We could look to get this Hades down and exert or an ink either the Headless Horseman or the Sisu. The Elsa also could come down and take out that Lumiere, which I think would still give enough ink for the guidebook. Yep.
And it does have to be Lumiere first because otherwise this Headless Horseman would completely trade back with the Elsa.
Yep. And I suspect we'll see the guidebook for the restock. Oh, we do not. Prepping with
We
the
do see it
Palace
come
Guard,
down, but
which
I
I
think
think is
that's a
very,
good
very
play.
smart. Yep.
Yeah, because next turn we can pop this guidebook and give our Royal Guard hopefully enough to, well, at least remove Sisu. Maybe
Yeah, I
not the
mean,
Scrooge at this point.
well, Royal Guard getting exerted there, so it may end up getting taken out. Um, but on Matt's side right now, he's got some good options to kind of take out some of these characters. That Royal Guard getting taken out here, though, is certainly going to make that more difficult. But we do have a Let It Go and a Hades where we can play both on this next turn.
Yeah. Eric does quest up to 14, and I do believe it's not updated, but Matt should be at 2 lore, I believe. He did get a lore for triggering the Dumbo. The other lore would have come earlier from a Basil quest to support the first Elsa.
You know, if he gets stopped at 19, we'll have to make sure he knows.
Yeah.
We do see the guidebook coming out there. I believe we still have enough ink for this 7-cost Hades. Dumbo, though, sitting with 2 damage on it means that it can't really attack or challenge into anything. But I suspect we'll see the Let It Go get sung on the Sisu here to help prevent some of the lore. Matt opting to decide whether or not to quest there. I think questing there makes sense. If there's an Elsa, the Elsa could tap it either way, so you might as well get the extra lore out of it.
We do see 2 cats in play, or in Matt's hand, which will be really strong with some of the damage that his characters are carrying. But we do see the Headless
Definitely.
Horseman in Eric's hand.
Which
We could get rid of this Elsa.
will likely take out the Elsa if we see it come down. We do see instead opting for a cat that it looks like we had drawn for this turn.
Still quite strong there, because now this Elsa, or this cat rather, I guess we could play both and move all of the damage over onto the Dumbo. But then that becomes our entire turn.
Yeah, the Dumbo going away kind of means the Palace Guard doesn't have a whole lot of options to be able to boost itself up. We don't know what card Matt drew for turn here, but a double cat play is certainly good. We could see it come down, take out the Dumbo, take out the opposing cat. You've got to kind of think that the Dumbo's got to be the primary target, though.
I would think so. We know that one card from Dumbo is strong enough, let alone more than one card. So
Yep, and it looks like the card that was
I would,
drawn was this Into the Unknown, which I mean, notably could have been sang or played just to take out one of these characters as well.
Yeah,
But
I
that
think at
wouldn't
this
leave him
point,
with enough to double cat though.
yeah, I was gonna say, I do think at this point you probably would be comfortable enough singing it into the unknown on this Scrooge. Yes, it, you know, gives Eric quite a bit of ink, but
Yep. And I
I
suspect if
do
Matt
see the
had
double
any
cat
other
play.
card to be able to ink, I suspect we would have seen. And we do see the Scrooge kind of being left alone there, which the Hades and the Palace Guard, I believe, would have been able to take it out. Um, but instead leaving the Scrooge there, though, I think at this point, if Eric is attacking and not, or challenging and not questing, that might be a position that Matt is okay being in.
Yeah. So we have enough ink that we could boost the Scrooge again and also boost and move the damage off of the Scrooge onto this Royal Guard. But opting for a challenge there that allows us to do both.
Yep. Going through the same motions that you had just mentioned there. In this case, it's not really mattering whether he boosts the cat or the Scrooge first. There could be instances where boosting the Scrooge is necessary to survive the combat, but Scrooge already big enough where he doesn't need that additional help right now.
Yeah. And there is 2 damage on this Scrooge, so one of these cats can take out the Headless Horseman. Do see Demona come down. That does refuel Eric, though.
As well as Matt, I think both of them had no cards in hand prior to the Demona. But notably, just with 2 cats having the ability to challenge, we could see the cats attack the opposing cat, shift some of those damages around to the Headless Horseman, possibly to the Scrooge as well.
Wind up just letting go of the cat.
And then
Looks
questing
like
with the cat there.
yeah, this is the tough part about the Demona is that Eric can now just throw a lot of things down on the field really quick.
Yeah, and following it up with the Hades targeting the Demona really kind of puts Matt in a tough spot where he kind of is forced to let Eric draw additional cards, which in this case ended up being more bodies to quest. And we do see Matt go ahead and scoop it up there, so we'll be heading into game 3.
This Ruby Amethyst deck is such a fascinating one to watch because unlike what you see from a Purple Steel or from a Blurple or even the Amber Amethyst decks that we have seen, there's really no direct uh, removal that's not on a character. You know, we do see direct removal through the Headless Horseman, but we don't have things like Into the Unknown or Let It Go or Strength of a Raging
Yeah.
Fire. So to me, a very unusual deck in that sense that there's no non-character removal.
No, I mean there's hardly any non-characters. We only have the Junior Woodchuck guidebook as our only not character card.
and it is a very strong deck. It is one that, for me, I have not tested a lot in terms of playing it, but it does intrigue me every time I watch it. I'm like, that looks like a deck I would enjoy playing.
It is definitely one that I think has a little bit of room for expression as well. Either going with some of the Dumbo lines for card draw, you could introduce more Tiggers, some things like that. Um, definitely some very interesting choices that you could opt to make.
Yeah, some lists I've seen are on um, 4 copies of Magical Maneuvers, where you can pick up one of your boosted characters.
Yep. We do see the Royal Guard come down here. Format side. Likely still safe if Eric is able to get a somewhat aggressive start out here, but notably, a Christopher Robin would not be safe. Because we may be able to see something along the lines of a Sail or Genie, which it looks like we have both in Matt's hand right now. So Matt here, kind of with an opportunity to be a bit of the aggressor here, but instead opting to just hold back.
I think getting 2 Royal Guards down is making this pretty tricky for Eric already, because they both could remove this Palace Guard on the next turn and both survive. Max, this is probably your favorite setup, the Palace Guard versus the Royal Guard.
Yeah, I unfortunately I don't know that I'll ever be able to tell you which one is which. But I get to say both, and I get to be right either way. So
There you go.
we do see that Genie come down. Looks like a Tipo drawn for Matt. Next turn, hard to really say, but I suspect we may see this Hades come down if we're able to get it some sort of a favorable exchange. But notably, this Elsa also could kind of just crack open this board a little bit. Lumiere, though, making that math a lot more difficult. I suspect now we'll see the Elsa come down to take out the Lumiere to then open up some of these challenges.
Looks like another Tipo off the top for Matt.
Yep, we do see that. And then I suspect the Palace Guards will end up going into this Scrooge.
Yeah, that to me makes a lot of sense. We saw in the previous
Oh,
game. Oh,
we
go for
have to take
the
out the
Palace
Palace Guard
Guard.
instead. That does allow this Scrooge to get to the point where it can't actually be safely taken out by just by the Elsa or by the Genie.
And Matt says, I'm going to draw cards anyway. I don't care about your bird.
And notably, though, all of these card draws do buff this Royal Guard. Yeah, Royal Guard.
They do.
So they will be
So
able
it's,
to then trade with that Scrooge.
yeah, I think we're okay with the, in this case, Iago cracking into the Elsa here.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're Matt here in this situation, you know that your deck is kind of favored as the game kind of goes longer. So just kind of getting the cards in while you can to then be able to have some of these resources to crack back. We are at a turn now where we could potentially ink and then play a big Hades, which I believe is the top end for Matt's deck. Ooh, the Elsa getting the Dumbo out of the way though is pretty huge there.
Yeah, very relevant. We see a Pete Ghost of Christmas Future in Matt's deck, kind of a spicy card that he has added into his Blurple list, and I don't think we have seen it yet in this match.
No, but I suspect we will hear pretty soon. Um, with some double spells there, and then being able to get this Pete down for some card filtering and card advantage on this next turn.
Yeah, and without a Scrooge that is boosted, this Pete will be tougher, I think, for Eric to remove.
Yeah, we may see the cat come down here just to take out this genie, and slow Matt's board down a little bit. We do see it come down, but opting to get the genie out on the field and instead of just taking care of the genie.
And I think we've got Matt has a very aggressive hand here.
I
I
believe
can't
it
tell if
is
that let it
Demona
go
and
is
Tipo is still in the hand. I
okay.
think the Let It Go and the Pete were both played last turn.
Yeah, couldn't tell if that was another let it go.
And we see a Hades and a Woodchuck guidebook on Eric's side. Um, Likely being able to get both down on this next turn if he really needs to.
This Pete is probably one of my favorite cards that we have seen from Winterspell. Not a card that's super heavily played at the moment, although we do see it pretty often in the Amber Sapphire control deck.
And with this Tipo in hand, I don't believe Matt inked on his last turn and opted to keep the Tipo in hand instead. Not sure if we had just missed the ink or if I missed him getting it down, but I believe we just now
Looking
got
at
to
the
7.
Mona.
Yep. Oh, did not have the Tipo in hand. It just had not been updated.
Yeah, I think you have to let Eric draw here. This Pete is really giving you, well, has the potential to
Yeah,
give you
Eric doing
quite
a
a bit
very
of
good
value.
job there. I believe the last card in his hand was this Woodchuck guidebook. Um, so putting Matt in a position where he only gets to see that he has one card. So he may opt for the removal instead, not knowing that Matt or Eric just has the restock of cards anyway. But that Lumiere coming down is very big. Allows that genie to take out the Elsa and stay safe, or at least be able to trade into this genie should it challenge back.
Yeah.
We do see a Dumbo in Matt's hand though, so I suspect we'll see some of those card draw options come through.
So we now boost the Pete once more, which means we'll get to look at the top two cards and put one into our hand, one on the bottom. So once you boost it twice, this becomes effectively a develop your brain on a very large body.
Yeah, and on its way to being a Visions.
What do you think is the ideal number of boosts on a Pete? When do you say no more?
I think as long as you've got the ink, you just kind of keep boosting. Um, Not a lot of decks will be able to punish you super hard for it. But I mean, being able to dig one card further, I think will always be pretty advantageous.
So we see the genie sing into the unknown on Eric's genie.
Yeah, and notably we were able to do all of that without having to play this Dumbo in hand, I believe. So does still have the Dumbo to be able to start the restock next turn. Matt here deciding on the Hades or not. Sees that he has one card left in his hand, but Eric does still notably have this Woodchuck guidebook on the field, so will have the ability to restock his hand either way.
But we
Opting to
do
put him
see
on the
the
bottom
P
though.
go to the bottom. Yeah. And that way we crack this guidebook anyway.
And that Tinkerbell with that Lumiere out there, I mean, that's a threatening challenge. That's a four strength character that is able to crack into these things now.
So it looks like Matt has 2 Dumbos in hand. And then whatever he draws for turn here.
Which it looks like is an Elsa, which very, very useful and very timely to help be able to get rid of this Lumiere.
Yeah, you take out this Lumiere, and now the
Although
challenges on.
we may just see it come down to take out the genie. Yep, and we do. We'll see the quest there from Basil to support it up.
I think that makes sense. Keep the evasives off the board. And
Yeah,
Matt going very aggressive here to quest to 15 says, you'll sacrifice almost your entire board to take out my 2 Hades here.
yeah. I mean, the Tinkerbell itself can take out the smaller Hades, and the other 2 Hades can certainly do a good job of cleaning up the big one. But Eric there in a position where he has to just hardcast this Demona, drawing Matt some cards as well. A tough position to be in. I mean, a Headless Horseman off of the top with some ink would be a very, very good start.
And I don't think Eric has inked for turn yet.
We see a genie come down.
And a Palace Guard. So Eric can go pretty wide here. But still...
But needs to be able needs to take something out on Eric's side or Matt's side for sure.
Yeah, and I think we definitely have to get rid of this 7-drop Hades because we can't deal with the evasives right now.
Yep, and we do see those challenges come through. Now deciding whether or not the Basil is worth taking out, and it looks like we do opt to go ahead and do that.
I think we have to. Matt goes to 18 here. And we know he has a Dumbo in hand, which will allow him to draw cards in the process.
Yeah, but I mean, notably, if he does draw with the genie, he only goes to 17.
That's true.
But does have that extra card. Here. Notably, Eric is at 2 here, so we may see... Oh, okay.
I think we go after the genie.
Yeah. I mean...
Win this evasive battle.
Yeah, you're putting Eric in a position where, I mean, it's got to be like 2 cats or something along those lines. It looks like we do see a Demona. We do see a Demona in Eric's hand, so we have the ability to restock some amount, but that will notably also, I believe, just restock Matt too. Looks like Eric kind of doing the math there to just decide whether or not he has the ability to even draw himself out of this.
And I see one of them was a Dumbo, one was a...
Demona, I believe.
Demona.
And I did not catch the third.
Yeah, I mean, it really needs to be either a cat or...
I mean, it's tough at this point. Yeah, I mean... A Headless Horseman would stall Matt to 19. It could take out the genie and then challenge into the Hades. So that would probably be somewhat of a start. I mean, a cat also does that too. So
another Elsa.
2 Dumbos and a Demona.
Yeah.
Yep, and that won't be quite enough to close it out. So we will see Matt end up taking out the taking the match and getting game 3.
So we've seen Matt win 2 matches here on the stream with his Blurple list. Pretty standard Blurple list for him, with the exception of the Pete. That is something that you don't see often in the Blurple lists, and
Yeah. I'll also
like
say it's probably a little hit or miss whether or not you see the Tigger as well. I think sometimes I've seen that be the new Isis Vanderchill, and some of the numbers shift around a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think like you'd mentioned, kind of a lot of these cards are kind of the standard list that you'd expect.
Yeah, Matt notably on 4 Tiggers, which is maybe higher than what you would see in a Blurple list typically. I am probably most well versed in playing Blurple out of any other deck, and when I have played it recently, I have also included Tigger because I think it is a very helpful answer against a dogs matchup where you're not favored as is. So the Tigger can really help you just gain that extra turn, take a Grandmother Willow off the field,
Yep.
and also pretty good against Purple Steel, even to be able to bounce a Calhoun and just prevent them from singing Strength of a Raging Fire onto, something else.
Sure. But that will do it for round 4, which I believe is our last Swiss round for the tournament. So the next video will be the semifinals, followed up by the finals.
All right, we will see you then.